I'm going to share my screen. Um, so I did pull up not lots, but three Sabian symbols. But first, let's look at the chart. So this is the new moon in Taurus chart for, so Saturday, May 16th, 2026, 4:01 p.m. As I said, that just passed about an hour and a half ago. I'm going to share my screen. I have lots of things going on. Sharing the right screen. Let's just check to see. No, let me just stop sharing for a second. I did pull up because I'm interested in some of the mundane astrology of Canada's chart, as well as obviously the state's chart. But Canada is also a Cancer Cancer sun sign. And so, even though it's to seemingly lesser degree, there are some similar trends um, that Canada is going through that may be under the surface right now, but I'm interested to see how that story, our timeline develops. So, chart are we going into? Maybe I will start out with the Sabian symbol. Okay, so here we have the Sabian symbol of 25 degrees of Taurus. In Sabian uh, trend of learning, we round up. So I'm going to look at 25 because it does give us some information. I'm using jamesburgess.com website, which I come back to again and again. So just looking at the theme of Taurus 25, 24, 25, and then we'll do 25, 26, working collectively. Belonging to a tribe or community involves us in working toward shared goals that we all enjoy. And of course, this requires a commitment in community responsibilities and participation, or participation is active commitment. And the quote here is a community in harmony will act together to create communal works that allow individuals to enjoy greater levels of abundance and comfort. It is a strong motivation to seek ways to live in peace and put aside fear, competition, and aggressiveness. So that's the invitation for this new moon in Taurus. So we'll just briefly touch on the chart and then we'll go back to the other degrees that I pulled out. So we have the new moon, of course. So both the sun and the moon are at the same degree and the same minute, 25 and 56, 25 degrees and 56 minutes. When I see numbers like this, it does make me want to look them up as an angel number. So maybe that's something that you might want to do on your own. And I will make note to do that on my own later as well. Make sure I don't have it. Anyway, so we also have Ceres at 25 degrees of Taurus. Ceres, we'll start with the sun being identity. All of us are really focused right now, very likely about our community spaces, centers, places that we go as an individual to become part of a community, environment, or group, humanitarian effort or cause. And this can also, of course, represent the internet, social networks that are virtual, digital, and also, of course, can be in person as well. But rather than really close friends or colleagues, this is really more of a wider network and an invitation for us to think about from a value-based perspective, what are we contributing? Because Taurus will bring us back to this conversation again and again of value and self-worth and yes, money, but resources as a whole, because prosperity and privilege is so much more than money included, but currency takes many forms. And then the moon, of course, emotion, really giving us and feeding us information and illumination ultimately with this, or an opportunity for us to, dig a little bit deeper and discover more, and more things will be revealed in these next coming 2 weeks around our aligned values or maybe misaligned values, and how that translates. And then from there, Ceres. So something I shared a little bit of mythology with the client this week around the story of Ceres. And Ceres is mother figure, mother of Persephone, or Demeter, depends on which myth you're speaking from, Greek or whatnot. Anyway, just flying here, just annoying. And Ceres ends up discovering that her daughter Persephone has been abducted and taken advantage of by Pluto or Hades. Taken as Hades. And depending again on the myth, the history, the origin of the myth that we're taking this from. And so then Ceres goes into grieving, and this is represented by the fall and winter seasons of grief and loss, and ultimately compromise for Ceres, because then she makes an agreement with Pluto to share her daughter, and he then gets to take her daughter to the underworld, and which then she goes into a grieving process every winter, or every year when and this is how we represent or define the mythology of spring and summer and winter and fall. And then life returns, levity returns, joy, because Persephone is then returned to her mother Ceres in the spring. And then they spend those spring and summer months together before she is then returned to her husband, or her captor, ultimately, into the winter. And so with the theme of Ceres, there is certainly a level of visceral compromise of, in order to make things work. And of course, the compromise of motherhood, the grief of motherhood, the loss of self identity with motherhood that can happen. And of course, we don't have to be biological mothers to understand how this and where this plays out in our own lives. Dodging the light here. There's a lot here around grief and the grief of motherhood and how that has infused lessons into our own lives around systemic patterns of worthiness, ancestral patterns of worthiness. And then when we take into consideration Taurus, that energy of Taurus and that large, well-kept public park, communal experiences may help us to discover our individual skills and characteristics. It does feel like there is a level of, and I'll get into this too in a minute, with Mercury following or leading the pack of the stellium. It's tight stellium. which is 3 or 4 planets in a stair-step of stair-step run, usually in the same sign, no more than usually 5 or more degrees apart. In my field to do some Reiki. So let me just go back and continue the recording. So just continuing, feeling the need to clear some energy here. Don't know what that is. Feel better. Yep. Thanks for taking that moment with me. I think we need to do a little grounding anyway. So going back in. I will share a little bit here. In order to, in relationship to what I just shared about identity, our emotions, and a certain level of compromise, makes me think about something that I shared on Threads earlier today, and I'll try to find that quickly as well. In order to create and maintain resources on a community level, there needs to be a body corporate, like a council, whose mandate is to put collective actions and issues above the personal in importance. There is no need to surrender our uniqueness of personality and accept imposed communal judgments about what is good and true. that would tend to trivialize our lives. However, we can surely see how there is great merit in the devotion of time and effort to assist the practical welfare of people collectively. For example, in keeping a park. Then we can all use resources that are only feasible for a community to afford. So each member has a higher degree of self-enjoyment as a direct result of this spirit of collective collaboration. The economic and practical benefits are obvious, yet there is more at stake here. Potentially, there is a transformative personal gain for each person who takes on a special role in such a project. The division of labor will never be equal for each person who takes, and this could well become an area of conflict that needs skillful handling and a high degree of integrity. Positions of public importance, from council secretary to president of the country, often attract enmity. Enmity. Look this up. I'm going to say jealousy or envy, but it's just to be precise. Yes, an enemy. Deep-seated, often mutual hatred, a feeling or state of hatred or animosity, the quality of being an enemy, hostile or unfriendly disposition. Seems appropriate. Read that again. Positions of public importance, from council secretary to the president of the country, very often attract enmity. Common experiences of humanity. The essential point made here is that the emphasis of common experiences of humanity as for the setting of an individual to discover their own own special skills and characteristics, with a particular focus on recreation as an appropriate application of available resources. Sounds like sharing space for hobbies or purpose. And as I said, purpose, causes, and collective vision. In isolation, we can never fulfill our wants and needs. We need interactivity with others to provide the grit that stimulates the development of a very wide range of personal attributes. Recreation is an aspect of collaborative activity that can offer sufficient grit without a very high risk of serious conflict. It is further implied that self-discovery and self-realization come about as incidental fruit of such interactions. It is generally more productive to approach such work rather playfully as recreation and without any specific intention of improvement. Often later, we realize that we have gained hidden benefits, and these inevitably include an aspect of our personal evolutionary process. To 26, Taurus 26, acting appropriately. And this is, go back to the moon. This is where Algol is. Algol is a star in the head of Medusa. Of course, we know the higher level of the story of Medusa, snakes and being cut off, which could represent a variety of things. And so Taurus, sometimes this is, I do know that Taurus, Algol as an example was aspected when Donald Trump had the ear incident. So just noting that. Taurus at 26 degrees, acting appropriately. Personal desires are acted out according to the permitted roles that our culture lays down. Learning how to behave appropriately, having established our place. It's interesting how of course it's successive, but because we have the stellium, these points are poignantly successive. Having established our place in community partly by doing what others do, we can then further our individual expression of self. We may look to do this through available social methods in sport clubs and music, for example, social media, and finding various roles by which to evolve our lives, often employing glamour as an expedient to make it more successful. It was interesting. I was watching a video this morning on pretty privilege. She didn't say it as such, but that's what, the term I'm familiar with and I'm going to use in this instant. It was more actually rejecting the idea of body positivity and speaking to this hard truth that um, in order to be truly valued and successful, you need to be skinny. And I don't adhere to that, but I do think that there is definitely a level of truth in um, pretty, pretty privilege. And sometimes that can, having a privilege is not always, everything is a double-edged sword. So sometimes the default that comes with pretty privilege is being underestimated or discounted because people make all kinds of assumptions. And that, of course, is not just for folks that are pretty, but um, yeah, there's a lot there. Oh, we just need to plug in, make sure that we're staying charged, literally and figuratively. Wonderful. Sun has moved or is about to move oh, behind the building. Um, and Dane Rudyard, who really was a champion of defining and downloading the interpretations of the Sabian symbols, has a Spanish gallant gentleman serenades his beloved. So let's move down to look into this a little bit more because it does tune into Taurus 28. A Spanish gallant serenades his beloved. As we speak, so we are. The skilled individual may have kissed the Blarney Stone and be able to, quote, kiss the Blarney Stone and be able to add wit and humor to flattery in order to control others with the smooth talk of a silver tongue. Yet the wiser individual will see the futility in this misuse of glamour. The reality we encounter is built by what we think, say, and do, and every little contribution matters. A casual remark here, a white lie there. What does it matter? Well, it does matter. Each nuance of what we allow has subtle effect. It materializes. Those of us given to poetry and music are asked to honor these powerful devices as they create their effects. Through constancy, we can become the embodiment of the ideals that romance points us towards. If the soul exalts in the beauty of love's language, then we must be true to that feeling, or we will betray it, as do, I mean, this is not my language, sex workers. What we say must be true. As we speak, so we are. What comes out of our mouths is a measure of what comes out of our hearts. If our hearts are to be true, then what we say must be true. We must also need to remember, we also need to remember that the vision we are projecting into the world's future is not only that which pleases our own desire, it is greater than that because others also participate in its creation. If our soul is to be undeniably present with our created vision, then so must other souls. This requires a kind of courtship. Soul needs to be reassured, coaxed, serenaded, and won. To achieve this insincerely is a betrayal at the level of soul, and it is difficult to think of a more poignant crime. With constancy, we learn that everything is at hand, that all we desire is already ours, and that no sense of the need for compromise is truly valid. It seems like the Kit vibes, where she says, like, compromise me? Why would I compromise? I don't compromise, especially for a man. So, yeah, there's definitely something here. Receiving instruction route towards mastery. Virgo 8 is my moon, but we won't go into that. So let's get back to new moon in Taurus, continuing and finally closing out the stellium in Taurus at the end of Taurus. So indicating that we have learned and cultivated, because this is the sign of the gardener, we have cultivated a level of worthiness, deservedness, value, depth, somatic prosperity that we are then to be rewarded. And that reward looks different for every person. But I do, especially because we are in a blue moon month, if you know that you have been efforting and working towards a certain goal, outcome, purpose, lifestyle, dream, outcome, then you may very well be rewarded in this next month. Definitely 6 weeks, because the nodes then change, and the North Node moves into Aquarius, really further amplifying our destiny and vision of what we've come here to do in this lifetime. But first things first, 29 degrees of Taurus. So we're moving from this should be true expression, soul level expression, honesty, transparency, no level of manipulation or weaponized ignorance or incompetence. And moving from that communal space, that working together space of truth and honesty and transparency into Taurus 29, 28, 29, respecting each other, respecting other points of view. Understanding someone else's way of being and seeing requires more objectivity about our own opinions and beliefs, respecting other ways of being and doing. Mature understanding arises out of seeing the other point of view and the deepening of wisdom towards having less staunch opinions on matters. New experiences test our maturity of wisdom. Do we react in a knee-jerk manner and take up a posture? Or can we work collaboratively with another to deepen our knowledge? Two cobblers working at a table is the Dane right here. Theme or visual image that's presented. To optimize our own achievements and joy, we need the wisdom of others. At one level of interpretation, two old men are puttering away their lives on tasks that lack personal meaning or life satisfaction. And indeed, many people engage in jobs to pay the rent rather than to fulfill personal dreams. This can so easily lead to a very grim attitude and gray heart. Yet looking beneath the surface of the task of shoe mending, we can see the need for a keen eye and a sharp intelligence applied to a very specific outcome. The two men are in a working relationship, one that requires a very particular form of reliable communication so that they operate effectively together as a team. Each has their own talents and preferences that blends with the other so that a harmony is achieved and the whole becomes more than the sum of the parts. Individually, they would be far less impactful than they are as coworkers. Integrity is a theme here. The artisan and workman have a unique and highly respected quality of integrity that is derived by their simple and absolute commitment to performing skillfully the task at hand. This is done by balancing the pros and cons accurately for each of the many aspects of the job. Customer liaison, assessment of damage, cost, benefit calculation, knowledge of materials, methods, and so on. Taking this metaphor into our own normal lives, we see that we gain much if we become capable of calling upon the general assistance of others when we have complex challenges to deal with. To harness the power of a division of labor requires particular and highly important attitude skills and social skills. highly important attitude, talent, and social skills. We need the wisdom of others. And so we learned how to facilitate sharing in order to optimize our achievements and joy. This is because we're all connected and each an aspect of each other. Neither achievement nor joy is meaningful or even possible without the sharing of it. We can make the world our own, not only by developing our own capabilities, but by learning how to enjoy those of others too. Self-knowledge is the key to unlock all the secrets of how to live, and we only come to know who we are, who we are, who we ourselves are by coming to know the depth and subtlety of other people. Jumping back to the chart. And out of sign, we have Gemini, Uranus at 1 degree of Gemini, which I don't think I pulled. Well, I did pull Taurus 28 as well. Perpetual new beginnings, dilemmas of the physical body need not stop us from staying alive to new possibilities and opportunities. The theme is maturity in relationships, which then, of course, perceive the integrity and how folks work together. The sense of a time-based linear degrading of capacity is refuted. We do not need to grow old and die off, but instead always have the capacity to find a new beginning. For example, we can fall in love even when this is driven mostly by the heart's joy in sharing rather than sexuality and procreation. The theme is a woman past her change of life experiences a new love. You're interested to, should I read it? I wasn't going to. Should I read this? Yes, okay. We do not avoid disappointment by denying life, but by trusting in faith. It is useful to consider the journey of the incarnated self as an aspect of the soul's journey through eternity. The rigors of physicality forbid the survival of casual preferences and demand that only truly enduring qualities are examined in depth. Eventually, all potentials will be realized because life is ageless and endless. However, this pruning process facilitates timely optimization of the soul's most important priorities. By identifying fully with all eventualities, we can come to understand that external events are simply expressions of conscious and unconscious personal choices rather than enforced limitations. The feeling of appreciation, a most joyous and sought after experience, is heightened when this pruning process has reached a certain level of maturity. Fewer distractions and less confusion, the more mature individual can focus and project more of the soul's deepest qualities. This, of course, attracts the external situations that express these qualities in irrefutable clarity of form. Motivation is of great importance, whereas imagination is indeed a prerequisite for life optimization. It is not enough. It is a necessary but not sufficient condition. Without motivation, insufficient will is awakened to project imagination into substance. Rewards then fall short of expectation. Expectation itself is an inherently arising condition of the human spirit. We, as a species, are imbued with hope. Even after previous disappointments, we can be persuaded into romance. Disappointment is a theme here as well. Disappointment is to be avoided. It is demoralizing and robs us of will. This lack of will brings further disappointment and begins a downward spiral. The trick is not to take any deprivation as final. The struggle between the soul's priorities and the ego's propensities is that which drives the life of a progressive person. Such a person always returns to the light after fact finding sojourns into the darkness. This is the only means by which maturity can develop. We may well be light beings whose instincts ever draw us home, yet we are entirely fascinated by the glamour and romance of the darkness. Long may it be so. Without this, there is no driving force to propel life vigorously. and the falsehood understanding of modesty, which is so often an excuse to hide the real problem of understimulated will, we are in danger of settling for less. We must not lose heart. We must refute the lesser with a confident expectation that the greater is at hand. So it is not by denying life that we avoid disappointment. It is by trusting in faith. Some commentary from Mandy McKinley, even though it's from Jamie Burgess's .com website. Beginner's mind, the next phase, organic evolution. As one door closes, another opens. Authenticity, wholesome engagement, beloved, and new lease on life. The future looks bright, right? And what's beautiful about this is that at 20 degrees, 28 degrees, we have Mercury. So there is some level of communication that is beginning with possibility and hope in relationship. And this really starts with maturity, self-development, evolving into maturity, and being able to discern where disappointment might come. Someone going to the church and do some channel. Oh. So here we have the new moon in Taurus, 25 degrees, Saturn 25 degrees, Ceres 25 degrees. We're all working together in this level of breakthrough, and also what we may no longer be compromising. We are compromising what we need to compromise in order to get what we need. Sometimes that's just the truth and the fact of it. It's not anything to be ashamed of. Something to recognize and to work with. And an opportunity for us to assess our needs. Not to make anyone wrong, but to move accordingly with what our needs are presenting. With Algol here, of course, there is an impetus, maybe an impetus to cut off snakes, literally. So gossip, enemies, frenemies, people who pretend that you could trust them. And that may not be the case. Sometimes we don't see it or don't believe it will happen to us because we inherently are good people. But this is to a reminder, this moon is a reminder that, especially with, this is in the 8th house, this new moon, from our vantage point here on Earth, and based each month in the 8th house. So there is a level of depth, possibly deception. And again, sometimes we can't see it clearly if we're too close. An invitation to link back to the full moon in Taurus that happened on November the 5th of 2025. I believe it was 13 degrees Taurus. And then, of course, the new moon that happened last year, I didn't pull that information, but that would have been likely. Okay. So as you move to Mercury, rounding out the end of the stellium in Taurus, there is an impetus, as I mentioned, to communicate boldly, truthfully, transparently. With a level of sovereignty, autonomy, confidence. solidity that is unshakable. Yes. I'll go back to this. Not expecting other points of view. It does, there is a, yeah, there is a level of confidence around um, being able to say what is true for you, not shying away. And then maybe how that offers an opportunity for you to then, as we see Uranus at 1 degree here, teaching our lived experience, teaching what it is that we know, because we've learned it, we've lived it. And from that point, there is a direct connection to the changes that are happening in the home space, the changes that are happening with the mother figures, motherhood, how transformative so much more than transformative, but sometimes words are limiting. Deep and powerful, latent. It does feel like this is drawing up maybe a latent stories, untold stories. Does feel like a truth. It feels like excavation. Um, Interesting, because if we're looking at this as Placidus, in the Placidus chart, which we are, Pluto's at 5 degrees, but it's actually at the end of the fourth house. Pluto has just started to get some work done, but it does feel like there's a level of crossing a threshold transformation that is happening or is about to happen as it relates to secrets in the family sphere with mother, uh, motherhood again, mother themes, whether or not you are a mother, a woman, have a womb. There is some reckoning on a deeply spiritual level around the innovation, ingenuity, secret power, latent power that the feminines, mother figures, people that were meant to nourish you, even if you didn't actually have that experience in this lifetime. There is something coming out in these next, I would say, 2 months. Once we hit um, Leo season, then we're in that Leo Aquarius axis. I feel like I have to smudge a little bit. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I have to just say, let me just check before I say, June, July, August. I was gonna say it's 20 degrees, the full moon, Aquarius, or sorry, Leo. Just, oh, and it is a solar eclipse. Oh, Aquarius. Oh, it's Pisces. I think it was this. Yeah, 20 degrees of Leo. So there is something here. Let's go back to the way that I read and interpret. 20 degrees of Leo. degrees of Aquarius. Yeah, there is some change and transformation around your ability to live the life that you want to live. But there is a level, as I said, a breakthrough, a threshold, that a crossing of a threshold that requires your commitment to your new life, to yourself, to your truth, to your innovation, to your purpose. Most of all, to your truth and transparency and your lived experience up until now, which probably may not feel very comfortable because Aquarius is that truth teller, whistleblower, uncomfortable energy of, we're not just adhering to the status quo and pretending like everything is okay. We don't do that here. We'll try to mind our business as long as we can, but we don't let people just run wild. Or we will excuse ourselves and take our energy with us. So said from an Aquarius. Aquarius may have been Aquarius Mercury. So yes, definitely a leader in that. And so this presents, this presents into a grand sextile. So whatever the opportunity that of you speaking up, speaking out, how you're relating to others, because that is with the descendant being such a focal point of this grand sextile. There was a question here, really, about many things, the spiritual nature of the people that you connect with, why you connect with them, what inspiration spark from you with Vesta. Okay. Excuse me, and Neptune, of course. I would be remiss if I didn't mention this stellium, Vesta, Neptune, Pallas, Vertex, and Saturn in Aries. It's nice to have Saturn and Neptune separating, so that we can really ground our focus and our intention and long range vision. So the focal point of this grand sextile is your relationship with other people. How you're speaking your truth, how you lead with the spirit consciousness, respecting people on a soul level, understanding what it means to nourish people on a soul level, to nourish yourself on a soul level, your standards, essentially, being able to communicate your standards, practicing communicating your standards. And of course, being in relationship, going back to that Taurus energy of new beginnings and respecting other points of view. This means that others need to respect your points of view as well. Let's see what else. The last maybe key piece of this is the stellium in Taurus, also sextiling Jupiter, still sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. And sextiling Jupiter in Cancer does present a I see it. Presents an opportunity in these last couple of months of Jupiter moving through Cancer to exit on June 30th. So again, we have 6 weeks. Of learning, teaching, philosophizing, navigating lived experience and personal truths in the relationships that we have with the mother figures in our lives. There's something to be worked out here, to be put to bed, but it can't really be put to bed until it is aired out. It's like, yeah, it's almost like getting this into it, like, yeah, it's download of washing laundry, and instead of not even packing it out right away, we haven't even gotten there yet. Instead of, you'll leave it in the washer overnight and then it starts to get the smell and like moldy. And rather than like rewashing it and going through the process of like getting that stink out, sometimes we don't do the work of that and we'll just put it in the dryer and you don't really notice the impact, or it's like, I can't be bothered, until later on when you want to lie down on those sheets and you smell that mold and those memories come back and there's a conjuring of that unprocessed material. Unprocessed material, I think, is going to be the title of this new moon. To be clarified, spoken out, communicated, translated, expressed, given the light of day. There is too, from this grand sextile and this working on relationships with other people, there is a level of sweetness that comes with it. It does mean that you need to be out and about to take advantage of this opportunity. It doesn't mean that you need to be doing it right now, because I see this really happening more to the end of Gemini season. But this new moon and this next month does offer you opportunities to find minds and souls that like that you speak the truth, that like that you are bold and transparent. It's not even, as something I heard not really recently, a while ago, was there's different, I mean, of course we know, but we don't really think about it. Like I always say, we want people to be honest. We want people to be honest. And this is also too a recognition that honesty is not the same thing as transparency. And sometimes we mistake people's honesty as transparency, and that is a mistake. I mean, not a mistake because we're meant to learn, but recognize, this is also to an invitation for you to recognize where you are maybe transposing honesty with transparency and misinterpreting the two. There is, with this new moon, a lot of attention and focus on others, what others are providing with this energy in the 8th house. But also this tension of what it means to be in relationship with other people, to be our own authority, to not expect, allow, or negotiate our own sovereignty or acceptance. And sometimes it can be a negotiation or a titration in relationship and learning with folks that are still doing their best to control themselves by controlling their experience in their environment. And sometimes their attempts to that means their attempts to control you or to coerce you. And sometimes the coercion or their attempts do not seem active or aggressive. They seem passive and quiet, unassuming. That too is an invitation for you to look deeper. This light is hitting, it's not so flattering, but that's okay. Yeah. I wonder if there's anything else here that I want to speak to. I do think, I oftentimes think when there's so much attention, of course, and focus on one side of the chart, we do want to look to see where the other side of the chart is. And even though it's this Placidus, it can present as full sun because it's so exact. But it does give us some more indication too about where things may be a little bit off kilter. Or maybe giving too much time and energy. A lot of focus, as I said, is on other people's resources, our attention being drawn to what other people are giving in an imbalancing relationship for sure. Because we see there's a weight in the space of the other and how much they're carrying, how much they're doing, operating with. This is, of course, in the Aries and Taurus. So this is interestingly, there does give a certain level of youthfulness, a lot of heaviness that maybe youthful people are carrying, as an example, children. Particularly ages 0 to 14. And then another way for me to look at this and to interpret, and something I think is important for us to share, is there is, while it looks or appears that there's nothing here in the second and third house where a lot of, first and second house where a lot of the attention is being drawn away into the opposite houses of the seventh and eighth. Well, we do have make here in Libra, 10 degrees. Make is an asteroid. Discovered, I believe, this in 2005. And this is a level of reinvention, rebirth, recreation, recovery, regeneration. And so this is in theme for us of, yes, identity, but also how are we bringing a level of peace and harmony, diplomacy, wisdom, aesthetic. Make is opposing Vertex and Saturn in Aries at 10 degrees. And this indicates, this dynamic between a relational dynamic between those who would be resistant to your change and evolution. You're crossing the threshold and what that means for them if you cross the threshold into your new life and existence. And sometimes that means leaving certain energies, entities, people, relationships, environments, scenarios behind. Last thing I'll speak to is just nodes. As I mentioned, the nodes are on a couple of cards. The nodes are shifting along with the eclipses as they do. Shifting signs from the Virgo Pisces axis for the past 2.5 years. Has been personally Virgo moon has been personally a lesson in futility and spiritual protection, but also resistance. Putting up a resistance. I'm gonna work it out. Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles with Justice reversed actually. Justice missing. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. But the nodes will be moving at the end of June, July. Somewhere. Sorry. And well, sorry, yes, I believe it's July because my mind sometimes Jupiter is moving on June 30th. Wild passing. Wrap it up. Got to. And so with the nodes moving from Aquarius, from Virgo and Pisces to Leo and Aquarius, the focus on identity shifts, changes, our collective evolution, but also our personal evolution and who we are becoming. Because we have gone through this spiritual process and refinement on a soul level, mental level, spirit level, the integration, because that is Virgo of our health and well-being, and how that translates to our service and service offering. How we are of service to ourselves, taking care of ourselves, nourishing ourselves, our spiritual selves, and how important that is. Very likely that your spiritual practice has deepened over the past year in a variety of ways, possibly in ways that you could have never predicted, you wouldn't have predicted, and found solace in. And now that solace is continuing forward into embodying and claiming an identity that is all you, wholly, transparently, authentically you. The innovation that is you. The beauty and wisdom, whoop, that is you, as I say that. As I say that. The first card, the Fool. Card behind that, the Devil. Card behind that, the Five of Swords reversed. And behind that, the Lovers. Beautiful. You're definitely coming on a choice. And at the bottom, the split that dropped was the Judgment. So I love that both the Swords cards are reversed. Nine of Swords, Five of Swords, releasing mental anguish, releasing anxiety, worry, fear, fretting, psychological undoing, and conflict, external conflict, how that mental conflict, probably an internal conflict, sometimes it's a heart level, soul level conflict. Sometimes it's a relational conflict. Releasing that and releasing these externalized conflicts, releasing the mental. You are encouraged to follow your joy. Follow your joy, babes. Follow your joy. Follow your joy. And be mindful of what you're committing to. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen. If I come back, I'll come back. But, the devil. Watch who you're committing to, what you're committing to, what you're saying yes to. It's nice to be invited. It is. And be mindful of what that invitation is. There's an exchange, an inherent exchange in everything. You know, they say like if the product is free, then you are the product. And in personal relationships, people are always looking for something. And what are you exchanging? Is it valuable? Is it worth the energetic exchange? It's time to really get serious about that and truthful. First with yourself and then with others. Because then you have a choice. Who and what do you want? What kind of life do you want? Who represents that for you, in you? It's not just one person. You know, whether or not it's not about poly, it's not about poly or what's the term, monogamy, or heteronormative ways of being in a relationship either. But it's a representation of the people that you ultimately have around you, and the truth of have the 5 people that you have around you are the people that you admire and would actually want to be similar to the people that you are sleeping with or engaging intimately with. Are they people that you would want to be? Are they people you admire enough to become? Probably. I mean, who knows? Maybe you already got your whole crew in and down. But this new moon would indicate that no, there are some entities or energies that need to be refined out of your experience for your evolution. Whoops. Okay. This is good, and then I'll just pull some oracles. Confirmation. Who are we cutting out? Who are you? Who are you refining from your experience? Because this is up right now. 10 of Swords reversed. Something is almost final. Something is almost complete. Almost communicated. High Priestess is in a space of reflection. What is next? What is essential and critical to be communicated? What is she keeping for herself? How is you protecting yourself with sacred word and scripture? And where are you about to move on to? Feels like in June, you're about to move forward. You're about to move on. I did say in the next 6 weeks. Yes, babes. Maybe you're taking a trip. Doesn't have to be a physical move as well. If it's not a physical move, it's moving your mind. But what I will say is that it is very important, that by July 1st, you are in an environment, in a space where you feel like it's your safe haven, sacred sanctuary, and it cannot be, will not be, no one would dare disturb it. And if you already have that space, kudos, congratulations. Maybe you need to want to edit or edify that space. Oh, shit. Protect that space from jealousy, from the evil eyes that watch you. Watch you and your divinity at work. Numbers 20 and 23. 2 and 5. Transmuting that evil eye energies, that jealousy. Transmuting card has come up quite a bit in the last couple of days. We'll get one more. One more. Yep. Oh, is there one more? Yes. The bottom. Yeah. Beautiful. Confirmation. Magic. Use your workings. Use your work. Use your work. Use your magic. This could be candle magic. Oh, I said I was going to stop. I had a full moon on the bottom, actually, and transformation on the top of the deck. So. This is the Divine Beloved deck, which I love. A prayerful deck. Nice to invoke a prayer in word and in poetry, really. I will just take one. No problem. Oh, divine assistance, I am open to receive. Change me, divine beloved, into one who is willing to receive all the right help. Right being the key. Let me feel deserving of divine assistance in every way. Open me to receive. Isn't this what we were talking about, though? Change me, divine beloved, into one who is willing to receive all the right help. Let me feel deserving of divine assistance, worthiness, self-worth, value in every way. Something that's been coming through is that, we quite often comes up again and again, but we are not this, like, we and our people, like, people or organizations are not the source of our either wealth, prosperity, goodness. They are not the source. It is source, it is God, it is spirit, it is the universe, Mother Earth, Gaia, all that is creator that is bestowing the assistance divinely. Don't put your trust in man. I don't mean men as the gender, just that's another conversation. But people, trust in spirit, trust in your relationship. And to do that, you need to trust and build your relationship with spirit. Isn't this beautiful? This is an invitation for you to rest this weekend, to lie down, to feel held by the ground, and imagine it's Mother Earth. Oh, maybe I'll do that as well. Maybe I'll do a little recording at another time. But creativity, I honor my passions. That's been coming up too. I've been wanting to paint these little paints here. Oh, on the side. A candle and some incense. Change me, divine beloved, into one who honors my deepest creative passions and needs. Help me value the talents you have given, both known and unknown. Mm, mm. You know what's coming up? A creator that I follow on YouTube and I think is awesome. She's also Canadian as well, Reem, the Rare Gazelle. Um, I don't know. I feel like I need to give her a shout out. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. There was something I was going to say. Help me value the talents you have given, both known and unknown. Maybe there's something there. Maybe it was in the video. She posted something recently about, and this is kind of correlated to the themes of what's coming up in this hang. Um, but the video was to create art and essentially make love, you know, as a grounding mechanism for the changes that are coming, for the intensity, the continued intensity, as a to kind of station yourself in a stronghold of joy, of a place to go to access and pour into your joy well, um, particularly during hard times. You know, it's like makes me think of, you know, when I was growing up, my parents would make their own tomato sauce and store it and of course they're gardeners, so you know have all of their things stored in the basement, and it's similar to that in that you're storing up your joy well with your creativity, but also with opportunities to experience joy and pleasure in a safe space and container of a relationship, or not necessarily a relationship, but in a respectful mutual relationship. Everything is a relationship. I mean, we put so much meaning and definition on things. This is also really telling me too, for us to inviting us to slow down into hobbies, practices, to get lost, to allow ourselves to get lost, to not think of joy as frivolous, but so meaningful, so purposeful, an invitation for us to slow down. Mm, yeah. As I say that, spirit's like, follow your mind, girl, follow your mind. Like my grandfather, who has passed over, both have, but my granddad, and one in particular. Oops, is a real joker. I'm just lighting an incense match. See there. This is jasmine scented, because my cat was named Jasmine. And sometimes I do like things like that to honor her. So, whoop, not be burning shit up. Okay, so putting that there. Creativity. Yeah, so reinvesting and taking time for your talents that you don't pour enough time into. They pour into you as much as you pour into them, and the results are equally as beneficial if you take the time. Finally, source. It's interesting that the colors are the same. Yeah. Jasmine and source. You are my source. Change me, divine beloved, into one who knows that you are my source. Fill me with confidence so I know that I never have to beg, just gratefully receive. Tell me that's not beautiful. Divine assistance, creativity, and source. I'm open to receive. I honor my passions, and you are my source. It's interesting that I was saying just before this, literally just before this, that there is no thing that's external to you that is the end all and be all, I say. I say and have been saying for years, it is my thing. You are the end all and be all, you, for your own life, not for anybody else's life. But you are the end all and be all. You are the leader and director of your own life. You should be the leader and director of your own life if you are not. You are the author. You are the creator. You are the CEO. You're the chief visionary officer. Oh, I said to a friend a while ago, a couple of years, and she keeps reminding me how pivotal it was, important it was for me to ask her this question as a mother of two teenagers. What do you want? Like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want on a soul level? Because I was complaining. She was kind of complaining. And I was like, I get it, but like, what do you want? Like, rather than being pulled by what other people want and need, can you allow yourself to want what you want? Can you allow yourself to want what you fully, wholly, unabashedly, unashamed, like want it openly? Say, I want this. This is actually, this is what I want. This is my standard. And no shame. And people don't have to adhere to it. There will be those that don't. And there will be those that are happy to, that see the value in mutual reciprocity with you. And if not you, maybe it's somebody else, and let you have to let that be okay. The equanimity of life and being able to dance within it is a delight to not be attached if you can bring yourself to that space. And there is work in it. That is for sure. There's no lie about that, but it's worth it. And then hopefully others feel empowered to be as um, equanimous, as they've learned um, in their own lives as well. So I wanted to share from the Herbal Astrology Oracle to wrap it up, and star astro codes. Sorry, star codes, astro oracle. I haven't used this oracle as much, but I started using it recently. And I was like, why haven't I been? I mean, I've had the deck for like a couple of years. Why haven't I been, at least? Why haven't I been, yeah, playing with this more? Anyway, interesting. Spirit's so good. I facilitate sacred ceremonies, sacred psychedelic ceremonies, one-to-one tripping, one-to-one trip sitting, one-to-one or small group. And I haven't had my own microdose here and there. I haven't facilitated my own macro session in a while. And macro to me is like anything above 2 grams. Like you're gonna go into it intentionally into a into a dip, into a space. And for some reason with this new moon, I felt like it's been a while. Maybe I should. Maybe. So I weighed out what I have. It's just over 2 grams. And that was a few hours ago. And here we are. Psilocybin is the medicine that I work with. Number 49, which is 5, 415. And that's 6, moving forward. The theme is commune. Upright. Communing with the sacred, connecting to otherworldly energy, remote viewing, regeneration. We did say that. Through union, coming together with the tribe, finding cosmic family, reversed disconnection, lacking community, fear of merging with others, lack of interest in connection, soul loss, and pain from the past. Astrological rulers of this card are Pluto, or of psilocybin, is Pluto and the sun. I'll read it through. Mesoamerican cultures such as the Olmec, Zapotec, Maya, and Aztec have used psilocybin in rituals for over 10,000 years. The Aztec prefer psilocybin mushrooms, meaning flesh of the gods, Tionanacatl, meaning flesh of the gods. They believed Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent and creator deity, placed the mushrooms on earth as a gift. These sacred vision-inducing mushrooms were and are revered by indigenous peoples as a gateway to the realm of the gods and a way to receive deep spiritual insight and inspiration. When Spanish missionaries recorded these practices, they deemed the ceremonies to be devil worship. Maria Sabina, a renowned Maztec curanda healer, held an all-night mushroom ceremony while in deep trance state to commune with God and heal the sick. While she called the mushrooms Ninos, or Nino Santos, or Holy Children, when she was 7 years old, she discovered the magical effects of the mushroom. She ate them and found herself in a realm with lots of children who talked to her and played with her. Maria would hear a beautiful supernatural voice that would direct her healing, explain the nature of life, and teach her the language she spoke during the Veladas ceremonies. She called herself the interpreter, the one who reads the sacred spirit language and transcribes it for others. Modern day research shows that psilocybin produces substantial improvements in anxiety and depression symptoms, which is why I facilitate these trip sitting sessions, increasing a sense of well-being and overall quality of life. Guidance. Los Niños Santos have come to tell you that you have arrived to your place of power. They are beacons of light on earth and offer psychic healing on a collective level. Los Niños Santos are asking you to tune in and commune with the ancestors and powers that be to further develop your power. Psilocybin floods our body with light codes, loosening the knots we volunteer to protect through the journey of life. Don't resist the profound teachings. Relax into the higher mind as you commune with its loving awareness, as you find home within commune with others and experiences that support you. Connect to nature and the extensive communities of energies that are lovingly there, awaiting your conscious arrival. Commune with the spirits and channel the wisdom provided with sure-footed spontaneity. You have arrived to your place of power. So good. And finally, well, almost finally. I feel like I should pull the Astro Star before I read the second herbology. So I will do that. And then we will end. This has been lovely. This has been kind of fun, actually. Oh, I got Saturn. I just want to pull an extra because really, oh dear. Okay, well, we got Pluto, Gemini, cross pollinate up the bottom. Okay, we're gonna work. We're gonna. This is powerful. So we're gonna take the power. I took the book and it gave me Gemini. We'll see. Okay, so this is not a herb that I'm as familiar with, Jurgen Sacha. Let's do Transfiguration. Transfiguration is the card. Upright, unforeseen change, breakdown, transfiguration, poison transmuted, evil neutralized, rising from the ashes. The theme of the Phoenix has been coming up quite a bit, as well as the evil being neutralized. Reversed, crisis, destruction, black magic, bad intentions, sorcery, poison, being made humble. Astrological ruler, Mars and Pluto. Interesting, Pluto's the theme here because Pluto was also the theme for psilocybin, and we also have Pluto now as well with the astro codes or star codes. Jurgen Sacha is a signature plant as its indigenous uses directly mirror its appearance. Its mottled coloring calls to mind a poisonous snake native to the Amazon, and local villages use the starchy root as an antivenom. In Peru and Ecuador, the snake and plant, which have also been, the snake has been a theme in this hangout. We're cutting the head off the snake. That is the theme of this new moon, hangout. The snake and plant are both called Jurgen Sacha or Ferdulance. In Brazil, the snake is named Jararaca, and the plant, Erva jararaca, translate to snake herb. In the Amazon, the bloody resin of this plant is used in many rituals of protection against all spiritual sicknesses. Bile and rage, hexes, evil eye, evil wind, and envy. The protection against brujos, black magic sorcerers, and protection against black magic sorcerers. Considered neutralizer, a neutralizer of the highest order, Jurgen Sacha converts any intended harm or intense evil into benevolent energy. Ooh, he's so protected. Yeah. Nobody can fuck with us. I'm not even joking, but may all evil eye and evil intentions be revoked, poked. Yeah. And neutralized. Considered a neutralizer of the highest order, Jurgen Sacha converts any intended harm or intense evil into benevolent energy. Indigenous tribes in Guyana have employed it as an antidote for stingrays, spider bites, and poison arrow darts or wounds. Other indigenous cultures believe that beating the legs and feet with the leaves of Jurgen Sacha acts as a snake repellent. In addition to being an antivenom, the powdered tuber is also used as an antiviral for asthma, lung inflammation, whooping cough, parasites, and menstrual disorders. Baths of Jurgen Sacha were also common for those with gout or arthritic pain and similar imbalances. Jurgen Sacha's staggering power to neutralize the strongest of known poisons and protect the body from vigorous viruses is some of the main reasons it falls under Mars and Pluto's rulership. With this antivirus thing, feels like this is coming up very strongly, or there's a connection here. Both planetary bodies like Jurgen Sacha overwhelm, and activate to transform, igniting destruction and resurrection, literally and archetypally. Jurgen Sacha's guidance says, watch your back. Jurgen Sacha represents radical change and breakdown. This card can mean that someone or something is harming your energy. If this applies to you, remember, it's interesting because I felt throughout here I needed to clear and sage and clear out the space or whatever, not sage, Palo Santo. I have the candles and all the shit. Sorry. I swear. If this applies to you, remember the darkest of energies that bring crisis or for unforeseen changes can be transmuted into benevolence. And that is my work. That is why I'm so like, not just good. I don't want to, I mean, yes, I'm good. I am very covered and protected. Very covered and protected. Oh, but who wants to go through all of that if you don't have to? You know, that's why it's so important that you're clearing intention, your own intention, but also understanding people's motives for wanting to connect to you and with you. It is applies to you. Remember that the darkest of energies that bring crisis or unforeseen changes can be transmuted into benevolence. Even the strongest of poisons can be medicine. The first step in neutralizing is recognition. The second step is removing fear and insecurity. And the third step is reconstruction of self. Examine your life from a third person perspective. Draw upon universal forces to transmute the environment, people, or situations that are depleting your life force. I did get lavender, so let me just look at it quickly to see if there's something. Lavender is Weaver. Upright Weaver of potentials, new beginnings, intuitive intellect, contemplative phase, emotional fulfillment, walking in alignment, reversed, unsettled spirit, unable to see possibility, lack mentality, untrusting, overly critical, astrological ruler is Mercury, which makes sense. Lavender use has been documented for well over 2,500 years. Its name is derived from the Latin verb lavar, which means to wash. In ancient Egypt, lavender was used for cleansing, perfumery, embalming, and mummification. It was used to cleanse the body and energetically cleanse the spirit. In Tut's tomb, jars of healing salves were found containing lavender and other herbs like blue lotus. Interesting, I just came across blue lotus today. These sacred unguents were used by royal families and high priests as perfume and healing oils. Ancient Greeks and Romans learned much from Egyptians regarding healing powers of perfumes in medicinal sense. Greek physicians recommended that the breasts be anointed with lavender oil, as it was said to be the seed of the heart. A Greek military physician noted that lavender was a great medicine used internally to relieve headaches, indigestion, menstrual cramps, upset stomach, and sore throats. Externally, it was used as an antiseptic to assist with burns or treat skin ailments. During medieval times, the Renaissance woman would massage their breasts with lavender to alleviate pain and increase breast milk. It was also used as a medicinal perfume and topically to ward off infection and heal wounds. Medicinally, lavender is a nervine, a nervous system relaxant that can assist in calming, induce sleep, improve memory, relieve pain, and boost the mood. The mere inhalation of its stimulates mental processes and focus energy, brings about lucidity, alleviates stress, and improves memory. Lavender is said to be ruled by the constellation Virgo and planet Mercury, the messenger, the connector, the communicator. Mercury represents the bright intelligence in all matters involving the mind and conscious perception. Lavender embodies Mercury's energy as it opens the mental channels, fine-tunes and refines mental processes, and liberates communication and comprehension. The guidance. Lavender is much like the medicine of spider, a master communicator that organizes, refines, and systemizes many elements in life. Lavender's medicine provides the power of discipline and focused energy. Key elements enable aligned manifestation. Key elements to enable aligned manifestation. Spider is here to remind you that when you're not communicating from a higher alignment, we quickly become entangled, overly critical, and even block the flow of creativity and healing communication. Connect to the energy of the spiral to journey deep down into your shadows. Allow this self-organizing system to facilitate higher alignment to your foundation when needed. Use the gifts of communication, such as poetry, art, dance, and music. As we were saying, get lost in your craft and creativity to nurture creativity as you leave your life. Yes, I'm doing that ceremony for myself tonight. All right, let's close it out. Let's close it out, folks. Let's close it out. We first got Saturn 24. Saturn rules that which we must build over time: bones, teeth, personal authority, maturity, borders, discipline, traditions, and organization. Saturn, like Jupiter, is a huge gas giant. With its rings of ice and rock, it represents the boundary of the visible solar system as the last planet humans can see with the naked eye from Earth's surface. Saturn, traditional ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius, takes 29 and a half years to round the zodiac and forms challenging aspects to itself approximately every 7 years. Hence the 7-year itch in a marriage. And 21 as the traditional age of adulthood. Saturn asks you to step into the next level of maturity and personal authority. Think of Saturn as a martial arts master who pushes you to grow through workouts, discipline, and tests that allow you to prove what you know, both to yourself and others. Look for a mentor or choose to mentor another. Honor the teacher, but don't give your power away. Listen to the experts, mix their wisdom with your experience, and make your own wise decisions. If you feel like someone is abusing their authority or undermining yours, set firm boundaries and hold them accountable. Study, cope, grow up. Pragmatically look to the skeleton and teeth, either of your own body or in the metaphorical structure of your project. Can this endeavor stand up and take a bite out of life? Make sure the foundations are strong, the organizational structures are in place, and build up from there. As you gain strength in mind, muscle, and bone, you can become stiff. So remember to stretch body and soul. Be careful not to cling to old conceptions of success or hold on to a brittle system that restricts potential and leaves people discouraged. The gift. The ancestors call you to wisdom and maturity to know your gifts and limitations. This process may be an initiation, a test that empowers you. I already know my limitations. Anyway, we're oftentimes learning again and again. Transits in climate was the next card, 55. Transits, climate. The planets are always moving through time and space, always spinning around us. When those planets form geometric relationships to one another, they create transits, the astrological weather conditions of the day that affect us all. When a moving planet forms a geometric relationship to a planet in your natal chart, that transiting planet can act like a guest who enters your house, sits in your kitchen, or sprawls in your living room. It activates a part of your existence. If that transiting planet talks to your Mars, it activates your warrior nature and your fight or flight response. If it talks to your moon, it initiates a story centered around your home, your family, and how you nurture yourself. This situation is in flux and the surrounding conditions are changing. Stay alert, aware, and be ready to respond to incoming dangers and opportunities. Some people are moving in, others are leaving. New opportunities open and other chapters close. Listen to the grapevine for changes in personnel or economic conditions. You are not in control of these elements, but you can make the most of these changes and dance with fate. People that walk into your life now may be karmically important. Either the relationship will last a long time or it may be short, pithy, and teach you a valuable lesson. It can be helpful to look at this point. It can be helpful at this point to look at the transits in your natal chart. There is no volume of control. There is no volume control on this card's energy. Transits may trigger a small change in personnel around you, or it could signal a shooting star that blazes across your life and turns your direction entirely. You have choices, though. Ask for grace and guidance when responding to the changing circumstances. Challenge. Wild cards are in play. You are not in control of who or what brushes your life, and that can be scary. Gift. Even though life is an ever-moving circle, you do not have control the people and events transiting your life. Know that you are incomplete. Even though life is an ever-moving circus and you do not control the people and events transiting your life, know that you are in complete control of your response to the transit. Choose wisely. 27, Pluto. Rebirth. Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio and is a powerful planetoid that takes 248 years to transverse the zodiac. Pluto and Charon, the largest of its 5 moons, circle each other and create a binary system. Most myths connected to Pluto, the god of the underworld, have 2 main characteristics. The one who descends into the underworld, which is interesting because I was speaking about the Ceres myth or mythology. The one who descends into the underworld to return reborn, and the one who either sends souls down to the underworld and greets them on arrival. From Pluto and Proserpina to Seth and Oriasis, to Inanna and Ishkaral, Irish Kaigal. Both sides of these myths, the use and abuse of power, the willingness to be reborn into their empowered divine self, describes Pluto's influence. Pluto was also lord of mining, retrieving valuables from deep within the earth. Action. Pluto calls for these 3 actions. First, to dig deep, again a theme. Second, to be willing to transform. And third, to use power wisely. Pluto calls you to drill down, to dig up what is worthy and bring it to the surface, and then rinse away the dirt and uncover the gold. This is not what I was saying earlier. It's just nice to have it affirmed, even though I'm reading from the cards and I was reading this in the astrology in the chart. Bring up the riches whenever you dig deep into your soul's work. Notice obsessions, neuroses. These signs of stress must be listened to and healed, but don't allow them to control you. Pluto reminds you that you can't hold on to the past, but you can take care of yourself. To begin this work, you may have to let go of an old form, as a caterpillar must become a butterfly, mourn what you have become and mourn what you have left, mourn what you've left behind, and then get curious about what is to arrive. Examine the power dynamics of the situation. Neither give yours away nor misuse your power over others. Step out of a power struggle and into self-empowerment. The challenge is Pluto's shadow side can bring up obsession, depression, mortality, and grief. Pluto plays hardball, so get a guide for this realm if needed. Spiritual gift. Pluto asks you in the face of life and death, why are you here? It isn't a rhetorical question. Strip down to the essentials and come back to what really matters to find the answer. And finally, as the sun starts going down, cross-pollinate with its symbol of a pair of twins conversing. Gemini asks us to weave a web of connections and build networks with humor and all forms of communication. This mutable air sign is ruled by Mercury and connected to the lungs, shoulders, hands, and nerves. Gemini's purpose is to disperse ideas like milk thistle on spring winds, cross-pollinate ideas like bees buzzing over the flowers. The sun shines here, May 21st to June 21st. Action. Words are the heart of the issue you are facing. And not just any words, but real dialogue. I can't take my accuracy sometimes. I just can't. Anyway. Words are at the heart of the issue you are facing, and not just any words, real dialogue. If you feel tension in the situation, see what is blocking the lines of communication and open the aperture. Listen to the grapevine. That's the second time. Listen to the grapevine. And it may not even be like a literal grapevine, it's a figurative grapevine too. And cross-pollinate, gather and share information, bits of truth that may float in on gossip. Bits of truth that may float in on gossip. Explore social media, sound bites, and any other way to get the word out. Talk to people as if they are your siblings, true equals. Talk to people as if they are your siblings, your true equals. Funny, I wrote something, must have been 2023, and I've been like humming and hawing over posting it. And the title of it was Atonement in Siblinghood. Nice. I hear you, Spirit. Talk to people as if they are your siblings, true equals. If something is bothering you, find a place to unpack it, get it on the table, and take a good look, and then talk it over in depth with a friend or a therapist, or write in your journal. Trust the process of self-expression to help get to the root of the problem. However, assume anything you say will be repeated. Gemini scattered seeds and is not concerned with privacy or individuality. And it is not necessarily loyal. The challenge, the situation may be more complex than you think, so be willing to dig in. Gemini energy can be shallow or oversimplified, as it encourages breadth rather than depth. So you have to add the depth consciously. Gift. Gemini's gift is an open mind and a sense of universal siblinghood. Isn't that interesting? I just used that word. We are all in this together. The soul knows how to find itself back in equilibrium if we all just let parts communicate. If we just let all parts communicate. Healthy unexpressed feelings, persons, and elements within the community be heard. Within the community. I think the theme, if you're not in the community, maybe you're not meant to be heard. Are you? That's all in conversation. But at the bottom of the deck, we have Mars. There is a certain level of ferocity and warrior nature. I hope this was supportive and helpful for whatever you needed, and I appreciate you joining me if you made it this far. If you did, I'm sure there was something juicy for you to take away. I'm excited for this next phase and chapter for us all, because there is lots of joy and opportunity coming up. And we should be ready to take advantage. Last final messages. You can overcome any obstacle. Sometimes life stings. Let your shine shine. You're never alone, and sometimes you do have to act as if. Sending you a lot of love and blessings. Final smudge with some Palo Santo. And may this new moon in Taurus empower you to say all the good things, all the truthful things, for you to receive all the good things, and for you to say all the truthful things that need to be said. Oh, may you continue to be blessed. If you haven't been blessed, may you be blessed. May you be highly favored. May you receive the blessings from this message and recording. And if you feel inspired, maybe you want to donate. That information is in the description. And I will also come back and edit to share an opportunity for you to support One People TO. the organization that I founded 7 years ago. My own community, and the community that I built, and my piece of contributing peace and harmony, diplomacy and modeling, restorative and social justice, healing. Oh, and so much more. Sending you a lot of blessings and love.